Welcome to Church History Stories, where I explore fascinating and sometimes controversial topics from the history of the Church. Today, we're diving into one of the most significant theological controversies of the early Church, the Monophysite teaching about the nature of Christ. Imagine trying to explain exactly how Jesus Christ could be both fully God and fully human at the same time. This seemingly impossible question sparked one of the greatest debates in Christian history. At its heart, the Monophysite controversy was about the very nature of Christ himself. The word Monophysite comes from two Greek words meaning single nature. The Monophysites taught that after the incarnation, Jesus had only one nature, a divine nature that had absorbed or consumed his human nature. Think of it like adding a drop of honey to the ocean. The honey is still there, but it's completely overwhelmed by the ocean. Orthodox Christianity, in contrast, teaches that Christ has two complete natures, fully divine and fully human, existing together in one person without mixture, confusion, separation, or division. These natures work together in perfect harmony while remaining distinct. It's like having pure water and pure oil in the same container. They're both fully present, but they don't mix together or lose their distinct properties. The difference might seem subtle at first, but it's absolutely crucial to our understanding of salvation. If Christ's human nature was absorbed by his divine nature, as the Monophysites taught, then he wasn't truly human like us. And if he wasn't truly human, how could he truly represent us before God? How could he be our perfect high priest who understands our weaknesses? How could his sacrifice truly pay for human sin? This is why the Orthodox teaching insists that Christ must maintain both natures in their fullness. He needs to be fully God to have the power to save us, and fully human to represent us and make atonement on our behalf. His two natures work together in perfect unity while remaining distinct, a mystery that pushes the limits of human understanding. Think about it this way. When Jesus wept at Lazarus' tomb, he wasn't pretending to be human. That was his genuine human nature, expressing genuine human emotion. When he forgave sins and performed miracles, that was his divine nature exercising divine authority. Both natures were always present, always real, always complete. The Monophysites weren't trying to diminish Christ, quite the opposite. They were so concerned with protecting his divinity that they ended up unintentionally diminishing his humanity. But in doing so, they created a Christ who was less than the full mediator we need. One who can truly bridge the gap between God and humanity, because he fully represents both. The story of how this controversy shook the Christian world begins in the aftermath of another debate, the Nestorian controversy. In 431, the Council of Ephesus had condemned Nestorius for seemingly dividing Christ into two persons, but in opposing Nestorius, some went too far in the opposite direction. The controversy erupted when Eutyches, an elderly monk in Constantinople, began teaching that Christ's human nature was completely absorbed by his divine nature. Imagine dropping a piece of paper into a roaring fire. That's how Eutyches saw Christ's humanity being consumed by his divinity. This teaching alarmed many church leaders because it effectively denied Christ's true humanity. In 451, the Council of Chalcedon met to address this issue. They crafted a careful definition that Christ is to be acknowledged in two natures, without confusion, without change, without division, without separation. This became the orthodox position of the Church, but not everyone accepted it. A significant number of Christians, especially in Egypt and Syria, rejected the Council of Chalcedon. They believed its definition went too far in the other direction and sounded too much like Nestorianism. These became known as the Monophysites, though they preferred to call themselves Miaphysites, emphasizing they believed in one united nature rather than one nature consuming the other. The political fallout was immense. The Byzantine Empire was torn apart by the controversy. Emperors tried various compromises. Zeno issued the Henoticon in 482, trying to find middle ground. Justinian held theological conferences. His wife Theodora even secretly supported the Monophysites, but nothing worked. The controversy led to riots in the streets, the exile of bishops, and even murder. What began as a theological debate became a factor in the Islamic conquest of Egypt and Syria. The Monophysite Christians there, feeling persecuted by Constantinople, were less inclined to support the empire when Muslim armies arrived. This shows how theological divisions can have far-reaching historical consequences. Today, the Oriental Orthodox churches, including the Coptic, Ethiopian, Syrian, and Armenian churches, maintain their traditional position, though they prefer the term Monophysite, and reject being called Monophysites. Modern dialogue has shown that some of the division may have been about words rather than actual beliefs about Christ. What can we learn from this controversy? First, precision in theology matters. Small differences in how we describe Christ can have huge implications. Second, we see how political factors can amplify theological divisions. Third, we're reminded that even sincere Christians can sometimes talk past each other, using different words to describe similar beliefs. Most importantly, this controversy reminds us that understanding Christ's nature isn't just academic debate. It's central to our salvation. The Church Fathers understood that if we get Christ wrong, we get everything wrong. They were willing to face exile and death to preserve the truth about who Christ is. We might be tempted to dismiss ancient controversies as irrelevant to modern faith, but the questions they wrestled with still matter today. How do we understand Jesus as both divine and human? How do we avoid emphasizing one nature at the expense of the other? These questions still shape how we view Christ, salvation, and our relationship with God. If you want more videos exploring fascinating figures and controversies from church history, please like, share, and subscribe for more church history stories. Cheers.